welcome to my channel. This is Magical Maidens Jewelry Tutorials. The Gothic Victoria necklace using the cardstock, the glittery cardstock, my filigree that I have, and a big plastic rose. Okay, now these are roses that are plastic that I got from Hobby Lobby, from the Paper Studio. They're always having sales on Hobby Lobby. This was $4.99. This was $3.99, but you got 50% off. So it ended up for both of these just costing me $4 something instead of, you know, an additional. So these are plastic, okay? So this one's a little fabric-y though. See, it's like a fabric and it has a little stem, which if you don't want the stem showing, you can clip it. So now these are good for the bigger cabochons. These are 40 by 30 wide, but the inner part is 30 by 40. So now I got this glass cabochon. This the same thing I did with the bigger one. Cut out some cardstock, and then I'm going to put my rose with some glue on there. Now you can use 1 or 2 or 3 of them, and I might use more than that than just 1, and I'll make a smaller version. So now what you can do is you can push it in and you get, I don't even know if you've seen that, you get the impression of this. I'm pushing it in and the rim, I get the impression. So now all you have to do is cut. Okay, so I cut it and I gave it a nice trim, and then I'm going to position it just so. So now I'm going to take some E6000 glue and I'm going to go ahead and glue the cardstock down. Okay, so now that I cut it out, I'm taking that same toothpick and getting some E6000 glue out. Not a lot of E6000 glue. Again, just enough. And then I'll take the excess and wipe it up in my paper towel. Kind of smooth it out as much as you can. And you want to try to get around the edges because you don't want the paper to curl. And like I said, if you'll have to keep scooping up the excess if you put too much. So now I'm going to take the piece that I cut out and I'm going to position it. I'm going to push down. That's why I say don't put too much E6000 glue, because when you push down, it's all going to pop up and then you're going to have to clean it. So now if you want to get the sides, you can get like a pair of tweezers or something. Kind of tamp it down, but be careful because it's going to shift a little. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry with all my other things that I have drying, and when it's done I'm going to come back and I'm going to see what I'm going to do about the roses. Okay, so in about 20 minutes the E6000 glue starts to adhere, and later on, like the next day once it's really dry, you can mess around if it's still sticking up and then trim and push down gently, okay? But you know, try to cut it as best as you can prior to gluing. But like I said, if you see pieces that didn't really match up nicely, then of course you're going to want to go ahead and fix that. Okay, so again, we're going to take our toothpick. Make sure you have your paper towel handy and a little E6000 glue. Don't take too much glue. Now, if you want to use your tweezers, because I got my little rose, I'm just going to put some of that glue on the back. I have the stem sticking out, but I put it off to the side. I don't know if you're seeing this. Why do I always feel like there's a shadow on here? Alright. See, I put the stem off to the side. Okay. Okay, so now I have that. I'm going to make sure that the glue I press down. And it's okay if the stem of that little rose sticks out a little. I kind of like it, and I put it on an angle. And you could have the stem sticking up a little. I like the stem on it, but if you don't want a stem, cut it off prior to gluing, okay? So there it is. Now I can make it just like my other one and add a few of the tiny acrylic gemstones. So I'm going to go look through my gemstones and see what I have. You could add whatever you want. If you don't want that, you don't have to, but I think it'll add something to it. So I'm going to go ahead and go do that. Because if you go too big, it looks, so that's going to be perfect. And so since I can't really embellish all around with that, now you can if you can find really tiny ones, but I got to tell you, it's going to be difficult to glue those. So I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm just going to take my 4mm jump ring and I'm going to attach it to the bottom. Look, it was a better choice. You can get these beads anywhere, but I got these beads at Hobby Lobby. It came in a kit. And they have it, a kit with black beads and a bunch of other things. Okay, so now we're getting to the part that we're going to put the necklace together since we finished the pendant. And the rose pendant looks like this. Okay. So I'm having everything facing me because I can't do it if it's facing you. So what I have decided is that I'm going to connect these filigree pieces rather than have a separation. I might, I'm not really sure, put 2 beads right here, but I have to see how that's going to look like. So what you want to do before you start your project is do some placement. Now I'm going to get some beads. Okay, so I might do that because it'll add a little something, but what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get a piece of wire, and then I'm going to have to get some jump rings. I also have some chain here that I'm going to use. This is small, but it's darker and it kind of blends in. The other top I have is too silvery, shiny, and since I antique this, you want to get something that's just a little bit darker and not as shiny. And to compare it, I'll show you what I mean. Usually I use this one, but see the difference? This one's more shiny and more brilliant silver, with this one's a little darker silver. So it's good to have a variety of different shades of silver chain when you're working. And the same with jump rings as well. So what I first want to do is, because I decided I'm going to use these beads. Now I could use red, but the black is the background. I think it ties it in, and then I'm going to have the red acrylic gemstones. So I thought it would be best to have the black beads instead. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my wire in, and you can use any kind of wire you want. This is 14 gauge wire or 15 gauge, I think, there if you want. And I'm just making a loop. And just like that with my round nose, see? So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'm just going to make sure I push in so that it doesn't move, and then get my cutters and just leave enough. I don't want to cut too much off because then you'll have to get another piece of wire. So make sure you're pushing this part up, and then go ahead and cut, and then go ahead and make your loop. Okay, and I want to make sure my loop is closed. And that's what it's going to look like. Okay, I have the 2 beads already with the 2 loops on the side and the wire. And I'm just going to get this aside. Now I have to connect this to this piece. But here's my problem. See the way this is? I'm going to use this as a pointer. The holes are on either side. So I'm going to have to put a jump ring and then another jump ring and kind of hang this from the back. What I did was I took two 6mm jump rings and I put them through each one of the sides, and then I connected them to the pendant loop, to the pendant hook on the top. And so it kind of sits behind instead of in front, seeing the hookup. Okay, so now the next part is hooking the bead up. Okay, so what I did was I didn't want this to be too far away from the main piece. So I used 5 of the chain links here. I hooked it up to a 6mm to here, then a 4mm to the bead. And on this side, I only used 4 links instead of 5 links like over here. And used a 4mm to attach it to the bead and another 4mm to attach it here. Now the reason why I used a 6mm for here was because I had to go over the loop and it wouldn't have been enough for it to close. So now you can try it, but I can always change that later, but that's what it's going to look like. And now I'm going to do the other side. Okay, so now what I did was I attached this side as well. And like I said, I had 5 links attached with a 6mm to a 4mm, a 4mm, a 4mm jump ring with 4 links and another 4mm jump ring. Same thing on the other side. And I used a 6mm jump ring only because it had to go around there. Now if I used a 4mm, it would bring it a little bit closer, but I wanted to use the 6mm. You could probably use the 4mm, that's up to you. Then I added a chain to the back, a little over 5 inches, maybe 5.5 inches on either side, but that depends on you. You can make it any length you want. And then I added a jump ring on one end and a clasp. So I used 2 4mm. I used a 4mm jump ring to attach the clasp, and then a 6mm jump ring on the other side to hook the clasp up to. Now you can use any length. I like to have it a certain length. I don't want it too long. I don't want it too short. And that's what we're going to do. Now for the next step is we're going to start to glue the acrylic gemstones. Okay. Alrighty, so now we're at the part where we're going to start to glue the acrylic gemstones. Take a little bit of this. Now, you want to know where you're going to put your acrylic gemstones. So I'm thinking right here. They're very tiny. They may look a little big over by you, but they're very tiny. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so it's a little maneuvering to get them. So the bigger one is a little bit easy to put the glue back on. I'm going to do that in the center. So before I glue the other one, see these filigrees? I did a faux antique look, and I did a video showing you how to do that. So it should be the video right before this one on my jewelry tutorial playlist, which is my second playlist on my channel, and you'll see this one. It's right, the one I posted right before this one, how to make an antique look to your jewelry. I did that to all 3 pieces of filigree. And for the set of these, again, they were in gold and I spray painted them, but you could also paint them with some other kinds of paint, and I show you all that in that video of how to do a faux antique look on your jewelry. Okay, so just wanted to let you know that, and I'm going to continue. Okay, so once you know that these are all positioned correctly, and when you use E6000 glue, it does give you a little time to play with it all before it adheres, at least about 15 to 20 minutes before then you can't move it anymore. Okay, so I was going to put a big one and then 2 little ones on either side, but I don't want to get it too busy. So I'm just going to get a little one. So I am just going to get a little one and put them on either side. And I got to get some glue. Now, if you're using this set, you can also just add the glue to the area if that's easier for you. Pick the back of it, or you could put one on the back. Okay, now I didn't antique the back of it, but this is mine. I only antique the front, but you're not going to see this. But if you're going to make it to sell or give as a gift, you want to do both sides with that antique look. Okay, so now I'm going to go with my next acrylic gemstone and repeat the process all over again with the glue, putting the glue over here. Okay, so now I'm going to clean it, and you want to blot your Q-tip after you put some rubbing alcohol on, and then just go over gently after you picked any off with the toothpick of the glue that might have seeped off of the sides. You can then just give it a quick one. It'll give it a nice shine and get rid of any excess glue. Also will get rid of your fingerprints. Victorian kind of Gothic necklace. It has the little rose that I showed you, but now I'm going to put this on and I'll show you what it looks like. So here it is. It's finished. This is what it looks like when it's on. This is how it sits. I'm gonna give it a quick one. And that's it. It's hanging just where I wanted it. I didn't want these pieces too low, and I didn't want them so high that they went up on my neck. And I love the way it looks. Now, this is a rose. It isn't too red. It would have been nice if it was as red as the others, but it's not plastic. This has a slight fabric. It's kind of hard, but it's made to be gluable. And it has the little stem. But I would have liked it if it was a little more red, but it still looks nice. It doesn't all have to be a bright red. I love the way it looks. I'm very happy with the way it came out and where the bead is sitting. That's why I used the 5 links and then the 4 links on the top on both sides. Yeah, so all in all, I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and I really like it, and I'm going to be getting a lot of wearing out of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like. And also subscribe, and don't forget to click that notification bell so you're notified when I upload my newer content. Remember, I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review of some Pantyhose selected items that I'm waiting for. They should be here during the week, and I'll start my video on that. Link will be below for this filigree set. Again, it comes in gold, but you can paint it, and I tell you all about that on the last video of how to faux antique look your jewelry. But you just use some silver paint if you want it silver, or keep it gold. You can still antique it if you want. I used a Mira finish. Also, you can use one that comes in a jar, and I show you in that other video. So this is the final product. This is what it's going to look like. And again, the chain I made about 5.5 inches on both sides. If you want it longer, you can make it longer. But keep in mind, you're going to add 2 jump rings and a clasp, so that adds a little length to it. And that's it. And I hope you'd enjoyed this. Please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe, click the notification bell, and share it with anyone you know that may be interested in this jewelry tutorial, as well as comment if you have any questions or just want to say hello. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my videos. Bye!